I even wore my polka dots and everything, guys.
Oh, stop. I put on makeup for the first time in ages, honestly. I've been saying to Kirby
Oh
the
man,
last couple of
do
days,
your
I'm like,
eyelashes feel so huge?
they're just like, you know, when like you kind of start tearing up because of mascara and you're like, I'm not crying, I swear.
We're delighted to speak to Kirby Thompson and Orla Graham, whose show Occupied is part of the Fringe Artists at Work series. Kirby is a writer and a director who just finished her BA in English and Film Studies at Queen's University, Belfast. Orla is a writer and actor who graduated from the Lir Academy in 2018. Thank you to you both for being on the show. How are you both keeping? Kirby, how are you?
Really good, yeah, I'm good. The weather's making me a bit sad today, but other than that, everything's good.
And yourself, Orla, are you keeping well?
Oh no, I'm great, Abby, thank you. Just so happy to be here. And again, the weather's stinking, but we'll power through.
Well, I'd like to start talking about how you guys got involved with the Artists at Work series. So did you apply to Fringe, or were you approached by the Fringe to take part?
We applied to Fringe back in February. We attended one of their application workshops in February, I think, and then completed the application soon after that. And then it was a few months later, they got in contact with us and asked us to be a part of their Fringe Lab programme. And then about a week or so later, they told us about Artists at Work as well. And obviously we were very excited about those opportunities because it's just great to be offered that sort of support, especially during these times.
And so tell us about your project. Orla, would you like to start?
Yeah, so Occupied is a show that originally ran at Smock Alley Seen and Heard. We did a 20-minute version of the show at the festival and it went down a treat. We really enjoyed it, so we decided to develop it further. Occupied tells the story of two women going through the exact same issue or very similar issues in completely different circumstances. They are both people who are dealing with period poverty, which is a massive, massive issue throughout the world, but especially in the island of Ireland. So Kirby and I wanted to write a piece that really opened the conversation in regards to period poverty and the lack of conversation around menstruation and periods as a society. Like, we were shocked at the amount of people we knew who wouldn't talk about it or who felt really squandered about talking about it, something completely natural. So that's where Occupied kind of came from, and that's what motivated us to write it.
Excellent. And how did the initial idea start? How did you guys start collaborating? Kirby?
So basically,
or Orla, whoever would like to.
No. Kirby's quite good at telling the story. That's why I was like, go take it away, Kirby.
So Orla and I became friends maybe 2 years ago now, and I was just scrolling through Twitter one day last year, just minding my business, and came across a tweet by Orla that said, I really want to set a play in public toilets. And I just sent her a DM and was like, let's do it. And she was like, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, let's just write it. Why not? And then about a week later we met up, went for a wee coffee and just brainstormed ideas, and then from there it just grew.
Yeah.
What a start.
Yeah. Probably when you go here, pads, tampons,
panty liner,
pads, tampons,
sustaining your neck
inserted
into your vagina,
pads,
panty liner.
Oh, but I brought you your monthly gift, sweetie. You know, shh, your period.
Now, why? I mean, we're talking about period poverty, the lack of conversation going on around menstruation. Why was it important for you to talk about this on stage?
I think for us, theatre was a way where we could bring issues that we cared about and felt passionate about to an audience who may not be overly familiar, or who may not know, or who may not have had to know previously. You know, theatre is quite a privileged place to be sometimes, so we thought that we'd bring this issue and explore it through a way that we knew best, which was theatre, writing plays and performing. So that's kind of where I guess we felt was the best way to get what we cared about out to the public, and it was through theatre. So that's, and we also occupied as a comedy. So we wanted to do it in like a quite a light-hearted way, but also where you got the message pretty quickly. Like we weren't shoving it at you, but you could laugh, but you could cry. So yeah, that's kind of why we felt it was essential to kind of explore it through theatre.
And now the showing at Seen and Heard, how did you prepare for that? Kirby, would you like to answer that?
With a lot of hard work and stress. So we had, I think, about 8 weeks to write the script, because we applied to Seen and Heard with just one scene written, because Orla came to me and was like, we have like 2 days to apply to this festival, do you want to do it? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, why not? So we just did it, and we only had one scene at this point, and then found out we were in it and we panicked. But we were also very excited, obviously, and then wrote the script and then got a lot of girls on board. We got Aoife, Kiva, Lauren and Sarah on board, and they all helped us out, and they were all really, really good to us in terms of helping us through the process. And then we did about a month and a half of rehearsals, and then the show's in February.
And Orla, it's a team of all women with actors, designers. Was this a deliberate choice?
I think so, because I think when Kirby and I were discussing like who we wanted to bring on the team, like Kirby and I, this is Kirby and I's first project together and creation wise. So we were kind of asking around who we liked, and we felt that it was essential to be able to tell the story as authentically as possible. And we felt like with a team of all women who could understand the script, the struggles that are in the script and the story, we just felt it was important to have a team of women who understood and could care and nurture the story with the most they could. So yeah, we felt it was important.
What hurdles or problems have you encountered in that?
Orla,
I'll take
would
this
you like
one.
To start? Of course. I think sometimes because Kirby and I are both 21, and when we went to the festival, we were 20. Sometimes people find it really interesting that two 20-year-olds want to make work, and especially two young women coming with an idea. And this is our first project. You know, sometimes we were challenged with trying to prove ourselves to people. Also, just genuinely writing scripts, seeing what way the best way of putting our idea on paper is. And then another challenge, Kirby and I don't know anything really about lights. So trying to see what way lights could be and what way lights work. And it was a real learning curve about organization and how to organize all the different aspects of a play. That was a massive learning curve for us, and how we can approach people and how we allow people to approach us, I think was a massive learning curve throughout this first project.
And I'm guessing that experience was sort of condensed quite quickly. That might be something people would learn over the course of 10 years of a career almost.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot in a very short space of time, but I'm so thankful that I had Kirby to learn all these things with, and to be like, when you're just kind of feeling a bit low or confused, just to kind of let it all out to another person, and to be able to have each other we're both going through the same thing was genuinely really, really lovely and amazing.
What changes will come about for Occupied during this development stage?
Well, we're turning it into a full-length production, so about an hour long. That was always kind of an idea we had, and then we took it to Smock Alley, Seen and Heard, and the response from the crowd was like amazing. And we were like, oh, people want us to make this into a longer show? Okay. So we're going to work on that. We have been working on that, but we're going to really knuckle down on it during our week. And just seeing what works, trying things out, just getting together again and meshing our brains together again.
So you're turning this into the play into a full-length production. So what does this mean practically? More characters, a change of form, Orla?
Yeah, so Kirby and I have, like, Occupied's always been this massive idea. So when it came to writing the first draft of the full production, which is nearly done, we immediately just were like, oh yeah, this is more than a two-hander. This is a story just that needs to be told by many people. So we have introduced a character called Jenna Duffy, who was originally only mentioned in the first showing at Seen and Heard. And Jenna Duffy is a character who, all I'll say is that she does not experience period poverty. She is a gag. I find her quite funny. But so we have immediately added in Jenna Duffy as a friend kind of guide for our character Aoife, who is a young schoolgirl. And then we've also introduced two male characters into the show, one being Marie, who is the other character, the other woman's ex-boyfriend, and the other male being Aoife's father, because Kirby and I felt it was so important to include a male perspective and male perspectives into this topic, which is relatively female dominated. Quite a lot of men in our lives that Kirby and I have experienced are not really educated on the topic of menstruation, of period poverty. So we felt it was essential to bring these voices in that don't really get shown and are underrepresented. So we felt it was key to bring them in. So yeah, practically few more scenes, few new characters, and we'll see what happens from there.
Excellent. Well, that just touched on the sort of personal journey with this. Would you guys like to talk a bit about your personal experience with the topic of menstruation, specifically in Ireland? Kirby?
Orla and I have said from the beginning that her and I are privileged in that sense, and that neither of us have experienced period poverty. And that's something that obviously we're grateful for, but we feel still we can help. Like, we don't want to just ignore the problem. So we're trying to start a conversation in the way that we know how. So basically, just we've learned a lot through the past year, I think, from research, from speaking with the Homeless Period Belfast, who is a wonderful charity who helps people in Belfast and Northern Ireland. There's also the Homeless Period Ireland. They do the same work down south. And we've just been learning a lot from it the past year, because, as I said, we weren't experts whenever we started, and yeah, it's just been learning.
Yeah, for Kirby and I, we kind of began the conversation by talking about our own experiences in school, and I went to Catholic school and Kirby went to mixed school. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so two quite different educations in Northern Ireland, but we both had the same problem of it was such a taboo at school, and it's still quite a taboo now. Like, even we're both 21 and people still don't want to talk about it. So we felt it was so essential to begin to start a conversation to normalize it. That's what we felt was key, because growing up, we wished we had the resources like the homeless, like, just to be able to learn and know that this completely natural thing is not anything to be ashamed of or embarrassed of. It is completely natural that anyone with a uterus can have. So it's just very
Yeah, sorry, Orla. I was just going to say, I think that's why we wanted to make it a comedy as well, because like, from, you know, being from like Northern Ireland, all we know here is really humor in dealing with serious issues. Like, that's just what we do here. We just laugh about it if something goes wrong. So that's, I think, a major reason why we comedy, because that's the way that I think most people would understand and be willing to listen.
Menstruation is generally kept as a private topic. we're told not to talk about it, not to bring it up. So how do you tackle this on stage? And how do you get the audiences to see it in a way that can affect change?
I am so sorry. My brother doesn't realize I'm on a Zoom and is banging the window. I am so sorry. 1 second. I completely apologize.
Can we keep that in? Can we please keep that in?
Maybe we can bring in her brother on the topic of menstruation.
I'm so sorry. I have to sorry. I don't know why, but he just banged the door and my mum wouldn't open the door, and that was just a big hassle that wasn't necessary. I can only apologize because he just kept dancing at the door and then kept banging it, and I can only apologize. I am so sorry.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
I've got just a couple more questions. So we'll start with the one I just asked before your brother decided to interrupt our chat about menstruation.
Sorry. Exactly. And he's 11, so he'd probably run away at this conversation.
Oh, bless him. Well, and that's what you want to change, right? You want to normalize it. You want to make it a conversation because it's a human experience.
Completely.
So how do you tackle this on the stage, and how do you get the audiences to see it in a way that it can affect change?
Very directly, I would say. That was something as well we said from the very beginning, from our little brainstorming date we had the very first day, that we don't want to leave many things unsaid, because obviously that's a part of theatre. There's a lot of things that can be shown and not just directly said. And we kind of wanted to challenge that, I guess, in a sense, and just kind of say everything and just make you listen, like, this is how it is, so you're going to listen to it. And we're just very direct with it, is what I would say.
I think that's the way to tackle these kind of issues. If we negotiate around it and try and make people comfortable, that's where we get almost more muddy. What do you think, Orla?
Exactly.
Definitely.
Completely. Like Kirby and I always said it. We were like, Occupied is not ladylike. It's not nice. It's very, this is it. You like it or you don't, and we hope you learn something from it. We're not here to sugarcoat things for you, because I think at the end of the day, if you're wanting to say something, say it with just say it outright, say it completely as it is. Don't try and waffle and be nice about it, not with things like this where things need to change, where a conversation needs to begin, because if you sugarcoat it too much, people take the nice stuff and not the stuff that actually matters. So Kirby and I, again, we felt it was so important to be direct, to be honest, and to show the realities of what people who are suffering from period poverty are living in and with. So it's just essential to show them.
How do you then assure, or how are you planning on making sure you're not just speaking to the choir, that it's not an echo chamber of an audience?
Through comedy is what I would say, because as I've said already, it is a comedy, and that's what we rely on. And I think that's what kind of would attract people who wouldn't typically want to see that sort of stuff. I think that's what would maybe attract them, because we do handle it in a lighthearted way that encourages people to listen but doesn't scare them away, I guess.
Yeah, also we invited so many of our male friends that we just knew. We were like, you like theatre? We like theatre. And we were just like, come see our show. And they were like, oh God, my dad came and saw it, and so did Kirby's. And my dad, I love him to pieces, but he's very traditional. And he was like, and I was like, Dad, you're going to learn something, because when else would you actively listen? Realistically, when else would you learn about this? Because it's not really on the news. he doesn't have any form of social media. And he came out of it and was like, yeah, I really, really learned something. So it's about targeting an audience that want to know and want to care, but also kind of bringing people in that are reluctant and a bit scared, and kind of being like, it's not a scary thing. We're going to tell you as it is, but we'll also make you laugh. So it's kind of bringing people in who might be a bit reluctant by using, as Kirby said, the comedy and the kind of straight talking as kind of like as a way of bringing them in, and then just showing them what it really is and allowing them to make their own judgments and allowing them to listen to what they choose to.
Great. Isn't that like, you can't control what the audience takes from it, but you can control
Completely.
what they see and what you expose them to?
Completely. It's their choice to take it all in or not.
Definitely. Now, you guys have a week, right? So prepping for that week, making sure that it's the most, useful, you use the time as wisely as possible. How do you do that? What are you doing right now to prep for that, Kirby?
Well, at the minute, we're aiming to get our first draft of the script done, because we're very close to doing that, because that's what we've been working on during lockdown, just to keep ourselves in it. So we're working on getting that done at the minute in preparation for kind of spending that week to finish the second draft. And then we also just want to get together, try things out, meet with whoever we can, and just see what we can do.
It'll be a real week of seeing, again, as Kirby said, what works, what doesn't work, reading through it together for the first time, seeing what we hate and seeing what we love, and then kind of getting it on its feet a wee bit, seeing how to visualize it, and then from that kind of developing, and then also it will allow us to plan for the future, what we want from Occupied, how we see Occupied going in the next 6 months, 12 months, because, after this week, there are obviously plans for the future. So it's just trying to stabilize and discuss plans in a land of theatre that's so up and down at the minute, So it's trying to talk about the future as well as redrafting, drafting, seeing what works, and allowing us to chat a wee bit about the future in a world that is a bit crazy at the minute, unfortunately.
Definitely. It's hard to plan for much.
Yeah.
But you want to be planning.
Yeah, definitely. We want to see what we can do and give it a go.
What does Fringe's support mean for the project at this stage, Orla?
Fringe's support at this stage means that Kirby and I will actually be allowed in a room together for the first time in 6 months, which is mental, absolutely crazy. So to even be given a room to work in is amazing, but to be able to have the support from the Fringe and the Lyric for Kirby and I at such an early stage in our career is so beneficial, because we can turn and ask for like what could we do. Like it kind of gives us a path that we kind of can see what's going, and we have help to do it. So I guess it's great in that sense that we have help and support from a festival that is so established and does so much for emerging artists, and a theatre like the Lyric, who are also so established and are helping support new work. It's just incredible. So it's the support aspect of it really during these times is essential, I think, for Kirby and I.
Now, any advice for those who might be thinking of writing for the first time?
Of course. Yeah, like I guess no one is ever going to make you a writer. No one's going to wake up and commission you to write a full-length play for the Abbey. So you might as well just do it. Like the only person really stopping you is yourself. So if you have an idea, plot it, like just do wee plots and find the voice that comes from it. It will come naturally. It may take 5 minutes. It may take 5 months, but no one is stopping you really by yourself. So find that tiny bit of confidence to do it and start writing, put some words to paper, and something hopefully wonderful will come from it.
Yeah, just go for
Right.
it. Like there's nothing stopping you. Just do it.
I think we all need that sort of kick to get ourselves creating,
Oh, yeah.
especially during this. Now, what's been inspiring you both outside of maybe theater or art during all of this? Kirby?
Oh, well, I'm very into like film and reading and stuff. So like, see, for the past 6 months, I've just been reading and watching films. It's been great. Like just getting into that sort of stuff and just getting, I don't know, I've been reading like scripts from movies, so like screenplays. And that's just like a really interesting thing to see, because then obviously you can watch the film at the same time. And it's just really, really, I love that sort of stuff. And it just kind of brings loads of new ideas to yourself as well while you're doing it. So I've been doing that.
And yourself, Orla?
This is such an actor answer, and I know that it is, but
Go on.
I've really, really like see the last 3 months, see what it was like my one walk a day. I was just watching everyone, seeing how everyone suddenly interacted with each other in this kind of new way of living, and then slowly, as things have sort of gone back to normal, watching how different people act and react has been just fascinating. So interactions in this kind of new world, I've absolutely loved, obviously loved under the weird circumstances, but I've really enjoyed seeing the switch in just how people interact, how seriously some people take it in comparison to others, and kind of meshing them. I think it's so interesting the way people get on. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed that and the progression of that over the last couple of months.
Amazing. Yeah, the people watching. There's been no people watching.
I know.
So once you get to look at them.
And my one walk a day was the best. Seeing people that weren't my family was really incredible. Also, okay. It sounds like I was meeting up with people on my one walk a day. Oh no, I was just actively watching other people. So in case I get any hate from the people, I will make a statement. I'll do my apology video. It's coming up.
I don't think you'll get any hate. Now, this is your directorial and writing debut for both of you. You've had such success with it so far. So Kirby, do you have any plans for any other projects with Orla?
Yeah, we've got a few things just like bubbling at the minute. We haven't started anything yet because obviously we're quite preoccupied, excuse the pun. But then sorry.
Love it.
Sorry. Enjoyed that
but we've got a few other ideas just sizzling in the background at the minute.
And any teasers you can give us, or is that still in the works, you think?
Orla?
Oh,
that's a hard question.
Some could be named after clothing brands. Some could be named after alcohol. Honestly, the names of our plays are endless.
Love it. You could do a play called Preoccupied.
It's been a fall. We've discussed it.
We have discussed it. We'll just make a series. We'll just do a series surrounding Occupied. That's it.
Guys, I cannot wait to hear about how this goes for you both. This has been delightful, and I think it's such an important topic to cover with people.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Abby, thank you so much for having us. You've been great.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
I've absolutely had a great time, so thank you.